Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. Today we are going to see chapter 2 file handling in Python. So this chapter we may expect one hard question. Let's see what are the topics to be discussed from this chapter. There are four important topics we are going to discuss. The first one, types of files, operations on net text file, operation on binary file, and implementation of binary file in Python program. Now the first concept, what is the meaning of file? A file is a named location on a secondary storage media where data are permanently stored for later access. So what is the meaning of file? You just consider this like a folder or the container which has a name on it, and you are going to store some information here. So this information, why are you storing it? Because you are going to use it for later purpose. And here, what is the meaning of secondary storage? It can be pen drive, hard disk, etc. Okay, now you are clear with what is the meaning of file. Now what is the meaning of file handling? So file handling is nothing but, for example, if you are run the ideally program, you are going to see the output. But when you close the output screen, whatever the output you handle, it's going to disappear. But when you want to store the output screen in a file, then only the file handling concept comes in. So it will allow you to store the data permanently, and you can take the data and do any operation, which means you can use it for any purpose. Okay. So what is the meaning of file handling? It allows storing data permanently on a disk. And files means it is a non-volatile, meaning they retain data even after the program stops. And Python provides various methods to read, write and edit files. Is it clear now? What is the meaning of file and what is the file handling? Now next topic, what are the types of files? So there are two types of files we are going to see. One is text file, another one is binary file. What is the meaning of text file? Look at the text file here, and it is, you can read the text file, is it? This is my hello program. So that's what it has mentioned. It contains human readable characters and can be opened with any text editor. What is the meaning of text editor? It is just a plain text which allow you to read and write, like Notepad, WordPad and Word document. And what about the binary file? It contains non-human readable. You can look at the binary file here. Can you read anything here? You can't read anything here. So that is called a binary file, and it data stored in binary form and needs special software to open. Now this is the main difference between the text file and binary file. Now what are the other difference between text file and binary file? We are going to see now. So in the question paper, if they ask you what is a text file or explain text file with an example, you can write only this. And if they are asking binary file, you can only write this. So this is the difference between text file and binary file. Now what is a text file? First point, stores data as characters using ASCII or Unicode encoding. I hope everyone remember ASCII and Unicode encoding system we discussed last year. The same concept only. Whatever you are typing in computer, each character will have an equivalent of the binary code, right? And Unicode means you will be having all the binary conversion in all other languages. Okay. So all the data are stored in ASCII or Unicode encoding in text file. And it is a human readable and can be opened with a text editor. And uses special characters like /n to indicate line breaks. So what is the meaning of /n? If you want to move to the next line, you will be using the /n. Okay. So this one we can call it as a delimiter. I hope everyone remember in exception handling also I have mentioned delimiter concept. Okay. So each line it ends with the end of the line, and next line if you want to move you have to mention what? /n. And can be easily edited, and errors are simple to fix. For example, you can consider this is a human readable. If you want to have any spelling mistake or if you want to give a space between word, it is easily you can identify where you have to give it. That is what it is simple to fix. Errors are okay, and can be read and written using Python. So you can easily read and write by using the Python. And what are the examples of text file? .txt file. This is a notepad. And .py Python file, and .csv. CSV means comma separated file. So these are the examples of text file. And what about the binary file? It stores data as raw bytes, representing actual content like images, audio or videos. So image, audio or videos are best example of binary file, and it stores as a raw byte. And it is not a human readable and requires specific software to open it. Okay, and no line breaks. So as we discussed, the end of the line error, because there is no delimiter in binary file, so there is no line breaks, no space, nothing. Okay, so data is stored in raw format. Even the small changes can corrupt the file and make it unreadable. So you can't identify where the errors are there in the file, and if you're doing any small changes, it will completely change the meaning and file will be corrupted. So what is the next point? Also accessible through Python but requires specific handling method. Here what is the meaning of specific handling method is nothing but pickle module. By using the pickle module, you can do writing, reading, everything in the binary file. What are the examples here? .jpg, mp3, mp4 and exe. JPG is nothing but image type of file. MP3 is audio type, MP4 is video type and exe is any software if you want to install, that will be in the executable file, exe file. I hope everyone is clear with what is the difference between text file and binary file. The next concept is steps in data file. So what are the steps you have to follow when you are handled with the data file? Okay, first you have to opening the file. So what is the meaning of open file? We should open the file either for read or write. And how do we open the file? By specifying the name of the file and mode. Mode, I will tell you what are the modes are available. And next one, what is the second step? Performing read or write. So when you are open the file, either you are going to read it or you are going to write it by using various functions available in Python. And what is the third step? You have to close the file. After performing all the operation, definitely you have to close the file and to release the file for other application. So these are the three steps you should follow when you are handled with the data file. Now, how does Python handle opening and closing of a file? So Python uses the IO module. This may come in one marker. So Python uses which module to handle the opening and closing means IO module. And it allows operations like creating of a file, opening of the file, reading, writing and traversing. Traversing is nothing but you are going to access each character or each element from the file. Okay, and files can be accessed from various sources including databases also, CSV, HTML, XML and JSON. All this file you can access by using the Python. So this is very important. What are the different file open modes? How can, if you are opening the mode, for what purpose you are opening? So the first one is an R. R is nothing but reading. Opens a file for reading and it gives an error if the file does not exist. This is very important. So this is only what we can call it as IO error it will provide. In case if you are trying to open the file for reading, if the file only does not exist, then it will give you what? Error. And in your text file, for example, this is your text file means if you are mentioning R, the cursor will be here. Start reading from the 0 position. Is it clear now? That is what it has mentioned. It will be in the beginning of the file. Okay. And another important concept in readers, if you are not mentioning any mode in when you are opening the file, by default it will be in the reading mode. Okay. And next one is the RB. What is the meaning of RB means? B means what? Binary. Opens for binary file and gives an error if the file does not exist. So here also the cursor will be at the beginning of the file. And next one is the R plus R plus R. What is this meaning? This allows you can do reading and writing. Both you can give and gives an error if the file does not exist. And again the cursor will be at the beginning. And what is the meaning of W? This opens a file, text file for writing. In case if the file is not existing, what it will do? It creates a new file. Is it clear? Here what happened in read file, if the file is not there, it gives the error. But here in write mode, if the file is not there, it will only create a new file. Okay? Or erases existing file. That concept I will explain to you through program. Okay? And what is the meaning of WB and plus W? Again, wherever B comes, it is called what? Binary file. Writing binary file. So again, opens binary file for reading and writing and creates new file or erases existing content. What is the meaning of A? A is nothing but appending the file. So that time it will be at the end of the file. What happens? If there is a text file here, there are some contents are here. No, if you are opening the file with A mode, which means append mode, means the file will be at the cursor will be at the end of the file, which means it will start adding new information here. Is it clear now? So that is called append mode. So the cursor will be at the end. So reading and writing, the cursor will be at the beginning. Append mode means the cursor will be at the end. Okay. And A plus or plus A. This is also open for reading and appending. And it creates a new file. It does not exist. I hope everybody is clear with file open modes. Next one, what is the open function in Python? There are two methods you can use it for opening. The first method we can call it as open function. By using the open function, you are going to open a file in Python. And it returns a file object that allows reading and writing operation. Now let's see the syntax. File object. You have to create a file object here. File object is nothing but some variable. Okay. And you have to give what? Equal to open, and you have to open the normal bracket, and you should mention what? File name, comma, access mode. Access mode is nothing but what way you are opening, either reading, writing or appending, that you have to mention it here. What is the example? File. File is nothing but what? File object equal to open function. Here I am mentioning. What is the file name here? File name is nothing but test.txt. You have to mention in the double quotes. Okay, this is a text file. So test.txt is my name of the file. Comma, what are the access mode now I am mentioning? R. If I am not mentioning R here, what it will happen? By default, it will open in the read mode only. And one more thing what you have to remember, if you are open in the read mode, the file should exist in your laptop or desktop. Is it clear now? Now let's see what is the meaning of file object. A file object is a connection between a Python program and a file stored in permanent storage. So you are going to handle now two programs. One is a Python file. Python program you are going to do it in ideally. But file, where are you going to store? You are going to store it in Notepad. So for that, the connection between the text file and Python file, you are creating the file object. Is it clear? Now it allows the program to read, write and manipulate the file's content. So the file object is very important. By using the file object only, the variable only, you are going to read, write and whatever you are going to do it in the notepad file, you will be using with the file object. Okay. And what is the file name? It returns the name of the file. As per the example here, what is that? Test.txt. And what is the file object here? File is the text file object here. And what are the access mode? Here access mode are R. We had discussed so many access mode. By default, Python opens which mode? Read mode. And next one is what? Closing a file. Closing a file means what? It frees up the system memory and ensure all unsaved data in return to the file. So this is very important. If you are not closing the file, what it will happen? Memory leakage will happen. Okay. Because Python, if you are creating the file object, obviously Python will create a memory. And if you are not closing the file, what it will happen? The memory will be wasted. So the memory leakage will happen. And whatever the unsaved data, it return to the file, it won't happen. And if the file is not closed, it may lead to memory leaks, data loss or file corruption. And unsaved data may not be written properly. So these are the disadvantage of it when you are not closing the file. And if a file object is reassigned to another file, for example, I am giving here file. If I am reassigning the same file in somewhere in the program, what it will happen? Whatever you have written in the file, it will delete. And Python automatically closes the previous open file and the file also will be deleting. Is it clear? Now what is the syntax for closing the file? File object dot close. Okay. This program I will explain in the ideally. And I told you, right, when you want to open a file, there are two methods. One by using the open function. What is the next method is by using with clause. Okay, what is the meaning of with clause? It is used to open a file and ensure that file is closed automatically once the block of code is executed. This is the main difference. When you mention open function, you have to close the file. But when you are mentioning with clause, then no need to close the file. By default, it will automatically closing the file. This eliminates the need to explicitly call close. Now what is the syntax for this? With open, and you have to mention the file name, access mode as file object. And you have to mention here colon and whatever the file operation you have to do it here. Example you can see with open, I am opening with the bracket and my file.txt. This is my name of the file, comma or plus. What is the meaning of or plus we discussed? Or plus is you can do reading and writing as my object. My object is my file object. Now everyone is clear with what is the meaning of with class? Next topic is writing to a text file. Now we open the file and how to close the file we have done. Now the main operation, either we want to do what? Writing or reading. So first one we are going to see what? Writing to the text file. To write to a text file, we need to open it in which mode? Write mode or append mode. Write mode, what it will happen? It overwrites the existing content if the file already exists. Which means whenever you are opening the run the program, whatever the informations are there in the existing file, it will remove, and every time new data will be stored. Okay, and what is the append mode means? It adds the new data at the end of the file. So that's what in the write mode, if the file is here and the cursor will be at the beginning of the file. In append mode, where the cursor will be at the end of the file. So every time if you open in the read mode, it will delete everything. Whatever the previous content, it will delete it and it overwrites and your cursor will be at the beginning. In append mode, the data will be there and you can keep on adding the data. Okay, and methods for writing a file. There are two methods you have to use it. The first one, write function. Second one is write line function. And one thing you have to remember, in both write method, you are going to store in the form of string only. Okay, this is very, very important. In both the method, whatever the data you are going to store, it should be in string format only. Okay, and in write method, you are going to write single string to a file, and write lines you are going to mention list of string, which means multiple string you are going to store it. Now let's see, I am opening in the script mode. Now I am going to create a file object. My file object name is file equal to, I am using the open function to open the file. Open of, what is the file name? I am giving the file name as test.txt file. Comma, the mode I am using it as W because this is the first time I am creating. So W, there is no such files are available in the reading mode. So W only I am creating it. After that I am going to write something. So print of, so I want to print. So print of write W. Next line what I am going to do? Next line what I am going to do? I am going to write it now by using the file object. What is my file object? File. So I am going to mention print of my file object dot write, and I am using here hi. This is my string, I am passing it here. Again print file is my file object name, and write function. I want to mention the numerical, but numerical what I told you, you have to mention in the form of string only. So 281. After that you have to what? Close the file. So how do you close the file? File object dot close function. Okay, now this is my program. Now I am going to save the program. So I'll created the new folder here, Python file, and the name of the file check.py. Okay, now I open the folder. You can see in Python file we have only one document, that is a Python file. There is no text documents are here. Now I run the program. You can see here, what is the meaning of 2 here? Because HI high, 2 characters are there, that is what it is printing 2. And here 3 characters, then 3. Now we can try one thing. As I told you, string only we have to accept. So I am passing it what? Now, numerical now. Let's see whether it is working or not. You can see now, only 2 it is printing, which means high, it is accepting this. What is the next one? It got the type error, which means argument must be string, not integer. Now understood now? Again I run the program. Now is it clear? Now we are going to check the Python file. Now can you see here? The test, it is created already. That's what I have mentioned. If you mention write mode, if it is not there also, it will create new. Now I open the notepad. Now you can see hi to 81, it's stored here. Now everyone is clear now how to use the write function. Now let's see the another function, write line, we are going to see now. This time I am using the with clause. So with, then what you have to mention, open, of, what is the name of the file? I am mentioning the different file, test2 dot txt comma w. Okay, then after that, as, what is my file object here? I am going to create my file. My file is my file object, and colon, and you have to mention here. So here we are not going to use print function. Why? Because it is not going to return any number of characters as an output. Okay, so now I am using what? My file. This is my file object dot write lines. And write lines it will accept as a string, tuple, anything. So hi, welcome, and I have mentioned here next line. Again, my file dot write lines. I am using any tuple or anything. So list I am using it. List also you should give it as a string format only. So 1, comma 2, only 2 elements is fine. After that here, no need to close your file, because if you are using the with clause, no need to close the file. Again I am saving the file here. I run the program. You can see nothing is there because it's all the thing it has written in the file. Okay, now let's see the folder. In the Python file you can see now test2 has created. Now I open the file. Can you see here? Hi, welcome, 1, 2. It's stored here. Is it clear now how to use the write lines? In case many of them will have a doubt, what happens if I mention the print of? If I am mentioning print of my lines of, let's see what is happening. It has mentioned none. Why? Because this already it has written in the text file. So nothing to write in the output screen. That's what it has mentioned. What? None. I hope everyone has understood how to use the write function and write lines function. Okay. Another important concept in the write function. I'll tell you what is it. It is called a flush method. What is the meaning of flush method in Python is? It is used to immediately write data to a file without closing it. Okay. Normally data is stored in a buffer. So whenever you started writing, it will be in the buffer. Later on only, after closing the file only, it will store it in the text file. But when you are using the flush function, in a buffer time only, it will store it in the data. I will show with an example. Now let's see with an example. So I am giving my file equal to open off. Here I am creating here another file, test3.txt in the double quote, comma w. After that, again my file dot write of hello. Okay, and again my file dot write of welcome. Now I am creating one more variable here, input of enter any key. I am mentioning in between. Okay, after that again I am try to write one thing, my file dot write of end. After that, here I am using the open function, so you have to close the file. My file dot close function. Now let's see what is your file name, test3. Okay, here I didn't open any of the file, only test1, test and test2 is open. Now I run the program. It has mentioned enter any key. I am not mentioning any key, but I try to open the file from here. See, the test3 is created already. I am opening the test3. You can see nothing is stored. Actually, what you're supposed to do, before enter the key, hello welcome supposed to store, but it didn't store because it is in the buffering condition now. Now the flash function, how it will work, I will show it to you. Before that, I will mention here my file dot flash off. So I just close this file now, test3. Now my file dot flash, I am using it now. Now I'll run the program. You can see enter any key. Now I'm opening Python file and test3 I'm opening. Now you can see hello welcome it's stored. Now do you know the difference? If you are not using the flash function, it is not storing this toString in the text file, because once you close the function only it will store. But when you are using the flash function, it just buffer immediately it will store it to the text file. So that's what the concept is. It is used to immediately write data to your file without closing it, and data is stored in a buffer before being written to the file. So you can, using the flash function, you can force the data to be saved right away. I hope everyone is thorough with the concept. Okay, next session I am going to teach you how to read a file. Thank you everyone.